What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the live stream. Apparently, Restream is trying to censor me. That's a joke, but at the same time, what the hell is going on? It took me 2 tries to get back on stream. Oh, how ridiculous is that? I wonder if they have like a way to do like a backup stream or something, because, yeah, that was really annoying. It just disconnected, and I'm like, I haven't had that happen before, so I'm like, wait, did it like break? What's happening here? You know, but yeah, we are back live. So let's dive into the next story that we were talking about. If you wanted to hear the rest of my take on the last story, I'll have a clip up later. The recording worked fine, but yeah, the stream completely broke. So yeah, not very fun. But on to the next story. Bernie Sanders scolds Democrats for losing support among working class and minority leaders. Here's a clip.
It is absolutely absurd that given the anti-worker ideology and policies of the Republican Party, that party now has more working class support than Democrats. Democrats are losing more and more support within the Latino community and even among African American men. That has got to change.
Scolding Democrats for losing support
going the other way,
among the working
actually,
class
Bernie.
and the minority voters. Look at this poll. It shows a nearly 20-point drop in support for Biden among Hispanic voters since 2020. And joining us now to react to founder and president of Bienvenido USA, Abraham Enriquez, and Color US United contributor Christian Watson. Christian, can I start with you? Why do those numbers make sense to you? Is that what you're finding when you talk to others?
Yes, and I'll say this much. Senator Sanders' comments are kind of indicative of the vision that progressives have tried to sell minorities for decades, and I can sum it up into a few words. They try to sell us victimhood, grievance, class conflict, identity politics. But more and more minorities are realizing the merits and the fruits of the philosophy of Americanism. That is, the ideas that set our nation into motion 270 years ago, which are summed up in a few words as well. Natural law, individualism, the family, the nation, God, self-reliance, personal responsibility, which MLK talked a lot about. And the more people realize the virtues of this ideology,
right,
which can be seen all around us, they can achieve human flourishing, whereas progressivism leads nowhere but to moral and social catastrophe. We're seeing it in our cities. We're seeing it in Black community, and we are seeing it on a social and economic scale right now in our economy. So it's unfortunate that he had the audacity to say something like this, but it's indicative that African Americans and others are waking up to the reality of what's happening.
And their solutions are often, let's give them more money and take it from people that you're projected as, I guess, stealing it as opposed to earning it.
Yes.
Abraham, your take on the numbers that show the Hispanic community gradually going to the right.
Yeah, well, they don't surprise me, because when you poll the Hispanics, it actually shows that the #1 issue that Hispanics care about is the economy. And look, inflation hurts every American, but it especially hurts Hispanics, because we tend to have larger families, which means we have more mouths to feed with less resources to do so. The Biden policies have really just almost made the middle class disappear and has made the GOP kind of build this coalition of working class Hispanics. Now, it's also really important to note that Hispanics on average in America are about 29 years old. We're one of the youngest ethnic demographics in America. When you ask young Hispanics what they want to achieve the American dream. They want to start a business. They want to own a home, start a family. Bidenomics is making that close to impossible. So it doesn't surprise me that Biden has lost over 17% of his Hispanic support since becoming president, and is polling in the mid-40s. Why? Because he's failed on economic opportunity. He has failed on strengthening our border. He has failed on providing the American dream for us. And he's also just flat out, completely dismantled the middle class, which makes up a lot of the Hispanic vote.
All right, so let's take a look at this poll. Fox put a poll and said, how among Hispanic voters, how would you rate the economy? Only 18% said excellent, 30% said fair, 52% say poor. And if you listen to the authors of Bidenomics, they say, well, it's the media that's just giving you this bad impression.
Yeah, right.
Among Black voters, look at these numbers. Excellent to good, 28%. Fair, 38%. Poor, 34%. Christian, what are the solutions here that you would like to hear from a political leader that would get your vote?
I want people to stop selling grievance. I want people to stop selling victimhood. I want people to stop selling subsistence. I want people to begin selling the vision of the African American innovators that have historically set America into motion, whether it be Booker T. Washington, whether it be any of the great inventors, George Washington Carver. I want people to begin telling us that we can make it if we put ourselves, if we apply ourselves to our particular goals, and if we have the right ideas in our mind to make it. But right now, the left is just continually selling grievance and victimhood. And that's not going to sell well. You can only tell someone they're a victim enough until they look at their bank account and see they have less money than they had 4 years ago. So I think that we really just need to level with each other and understand that these ideas are not going to stick unless people are seeing prosperity for them. And only a single idea can make people prosperous, and that is being responsible for your own actions.
Right. Guys, we'll have to leave it there. Abraham and Christian, thanks so much. The Republicans now have to do the hard.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I guess I mean, everything he said is like right. The black guy, he makes a lot of good points. It's awesome that black people are starting to realize this, because it was always that thing, where black people and Hispanics always vote. They always lean to the left. But do they really? They shouldn't. Both communities like family and everything. And yeah, they should move to the right. And I'm glad that people are starting to wake up to this. It's just going to be good for the country. It's going to be good for the culture. And it's going to make the left fall apart, which is awesome. They started all this. They always wanted the victimhood mentality. They want you to just be beholden on them. You don't need a family. You can rely on us. Don't worry. But can you really? No, you can't. It's like the mob coming and saying, "Hey, you don't need the anyone to help, or we'll do it, but you just got to give us a little bit of that money. If you give us some money, then we'll help you out." That's what they say. And that's how the government is. Your family, you don't need money for your family to help you. They'll just help you. They're your family, your neighbors. You don't need money necessarily to have them help you. If they're your friends and your family, that's what you need. That's what we need in America. We need to bring that back. Sense of community, sense of family. Now, okay, let's pass another law. That's going to keep us safe. How are we going to prosper further in life? Government needs to solve everything. My business competitor is beating me, and instead of going into your family, maybe help with marketing, get some ideas of how to make a more fresh menu. No. Go get the government involved. Do this. More regulation. They can stop it. I guess that's kind of a bad analogy for like small town people, but that's exactly what they do. The big guys. They'll go and create all these laws. They write these laws. The health insurance company, they help write Obamacare. They write all these laws. And then they sit there and say, "Oh no, it's to help the industry. It's to regulate. It's to help the small guy." It's definitely not. It's just helping the big guy. That's what they want to do. And again, people are waking up to this. That's why Bernie Sanders, he might be mad that they're losing the working class voters and everything, but it makes sense. All the left is trying to do is keep them down, give more regulations, make it so you can't start businesses, make it so you have to pay more taxes, just more regulations, so your company has to pay more in fees to make sure they're beholden to these regulations, so you get paid less. And then there's less competition for you to get a new job. So then you can't compete. Oh, no. What you need is the union. That's what you need. Because why would you want to compete when you have the union? You can't. Yeah, there's not a competition. So if you want to get paid more, it's not about getting better skills and trying to better yourself in the eyes of other companies. It's, oh, no. Just get a union. Everyone's equal playing field, and you all get paid equally. But it's like, well, what if I want to be better than everyone else? No offense, like not like better like morally or anything, or it's like just better at my job. I'm better at speaking. I'm better at doing whatever. I'm a better carpenter. So instead of saying that, hey, I'm a better carpenter than you, no offense, maybe I have more experience. I've just put more work in. Had a better mentor, shouldn't I get paid more for that? The skill is better. No. You should all get paid the same and just join a union. You don't need competition. That's what the government does. And they, like the guy was saying in the video, victim mentality. You need to be kept down. The business guy is keeping you down. You need the government to come and save you. That's what they want you to think. Not, oh, okay, well, if the business guy's keeping me down, I'll just leave and start my own company. We're 3 skilled people. We'll go start our own company. But no. It's a certain industry that you need to have all these applications, pay all these fees for. You need the government. The government, it needs its peace. That's what they say. So people are starting to break away from this. Like, no, we don't need the government. We can go do it ourselves, and we're going to do a much better job of it. We'll have more friends, we'll have more family, and we'll be happier in general. I'm glad people are starting to wake up to that. But with that, let's move on to the next story. 5,000 pilots under investigation, and 60 have been barred from flying. What's going on here? Here's a clip.
5,000 pilots under investigation, accused of hiding health issues. These pilots are also military veterans who failed to reveal that they were receiving disability benefits for conditions that could keep them out of the cockpit. The FAA already ordered 60 pilots to stop flying. Here's ABC's Zorain Shah.
Tonight, the shocking revelation from the FAA. They've ordered about 60 pilots who are also military veterans out of the cockpit amid an investigation into nearly 5,000 pilots who the FAA alleges falsified medical records. The Washington Post reports the probe, quote, has exposed long-standing issues in how the FAA medically screens pilots. That probe beginning in 2019, when the VA Inspector General's office became, quote, concerned that some pilots may be hiding mental health conditions or fraudulently receiving disability benefits. The FAA saying it has closed about half the cases and says a majority of the pilots whose cases remain open can still fly while they investigate. A senior U.S. official telling the Post that 600 of the pilots under investigation have licenses to fly passenger airlines. And the FAA says in a statement it will take more steps, including enforcement action based on their investigation into these cases. Now, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association saying the Washington Post article and issue with VA claim does not acknowledge the exceptional safety record we are currently experiencing in general aviation. Furthermore, medical incapacitation is extremely rare. Rachel?
All right, Zorain, thank you.
So, yeah, that's fascinating. So basically, we're in a pilot shortage, right? And they're not violating. They obviously do simulation tests and stuff. I don't know how often they go on license, but the airlines are like, no, they're fine. We think they're fine. We have an exceptional record. They're doing a good job. But then the FAA's in here like, no. You can't fly because you're getting disability. And you're on veteran disability, so you're not allowed to fly commercial. It's like, wow, that's interesting. So I don't know. That's interesting how it's going to play out. I don't think it doesn't sound like this is going to make anything safer. I wonder what those 60 people were barred for. They didn't get into that in this story, but yeah. Interesting. The whole everything in the sense of transportation department. I don't want to play politics on this, but since Biden got in there, and Pete Buttigieg, what are they doing? Right? Wasn't it 2019? There was no accidents, period, in all of commercial aviation in the United States. Not one accident. That's insanity. So now look at, there's accidents left and right. The FAA is pulling all these pilots during a pilot shortage. Yeah, it's kind of unreal. But with that, let's move on to the next story. Larry Elder files complaint with FEC over debate ban. Here's a clip.
So let me get this straight, Mr. Elder. RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel spoke to the Politico earlier this week and responded to criticism by saying, quote, our rules were very clear. We put them out very early, and we abided by the rules. There's no favor. There's no bias. We really just stuck to our own rules, end quote. Now, do you and your campaign any idea why Rasmussen polls would not be accepted? Because I got to tell you the truth, I think
they don't like Larry
Elder.
I think that's the word for it, bizarre. By the way, I was not just barred from the debate stage. I was barred from the venue.
Wow.
You put up a sign at security. If Elder's campaign shows up, do not let him in. So now I guess I'm on the RNC terror watch list. I have no idea why Rasmussen is not a valid poll. If you go on the RNC Twitter file, they quote Rasmussen all the time. Rasmussen was the most accurate poll in 2016, predicting that Donald Trump would win. Furthermore, after I was disqualified because of using that poll, Rasmussen puts out a tweet and says Donald Trump had nothing to do with our poll, did not authorize the poll, did not even know we were doing it, nor did Elder, and there's no reason why Elder can't use our poll. And also my understanding is before Rasmussen even conducted his poll, they contacted the RNC on another matter to make sure that they were polling the requisite number of Republican leading voters. And it seems to me if the RNC had a problem with Rasmussen at the time, they would have said, oh, by the way, guys, you're not eligible. But they said nothing. And consider this. One of those on the debate stage offered a $20 gift certificate for a $1 donation. Another one offered a commission for people to go out and get other donors, and then those donors would get a commission to get other donors. It seems to me that's illegal, certainly corrupt, if not illegal, which undermines the entire reason for the criteria. The idea, I suppose, is to make sure that everybody's got a barbecue in their backyard who pontificates about politics, who can afford $1,000 to go into the New Hampshire primary, ought not demand a spot on the stage. I get that, but I ran for governor, California, 3.5 million votes. I generated $27 million in 8 weeks. So I'm not a frivolous guy, and somehow, some way, I wasn't up there. Furthermore, after this happened, I submitted another poll having me above 1%. They said, oh, too late. Well, if I had known you were going to disqualify the other one, maybe I could have submitted that one on time. So the whole thing is absolutely, to use your word,
it's a sham.
Bizarre. My lawyer is a former chair of the FEC, and he claims that failing to abide by their own rules is tantamount to an in-kind contribution to these 8 people who are up there at Elder's detriment. So we filed the complaint. The problem is it'll take years for that complaint to be adjudicated. Meanwhile, I've got to qualify for the next debate, which is 3%. Next month at the Reagan Library in California, my home.
Fair enough.
Please go to my website, LarryElder.com. I've now incurred an unexpected legal expense, so help me out, Newsmax viewers.
We're going to have to leave it there. Larry, thank you so much for spending some time with us. We appreciate it.
Just shows how much a sham all this stuff is. They're so scared of Larry Elder. In California, he was the black face of white supremacy, because that makes so much sense, doesn't it? So, yeah, they hate Larry Elder, and that's why they did it. It's just a sham. That would have been fun having Larry in that debate. Him and Ramaswamy would have been interesting. I like Larry Elder. He's pretty exciting. Or interesting, anyway. I wonder why he's even running, though. It's like how everyone else is running. Like, why bother? Get name recognition? But that's what's messed up. That's probably what he's trying to do, right? He probably wants name recognition so he can do another round in California, maybe do a better job because he's more known or something. But nope, they took that away from him. You want to give him more well-known on our stage, Larry? No. We're going to cheat you out. And I guess it's the woman, Rhonda McDaniels, the RNC chair. She's the one who didn't want him in there. Yeah, she's scared of him. Why would that be? If they're not establishment, they're just scared. Ramaswamy, it's good he did all this press. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't be in there either, would he? But with that, let's move on to the next story. Schools across the United States delaying the start of class or requiring masks because of the COVID uptick. Here's a clip.
Across the country, kids are filing into classrooms. And with students back at a handful of schools, so is COVID.
Almost all the precautions, including regular testing, have been taken down in schools. We're also seeing kids with all sorts of other colds and coughs and viruses, which make it very easy
kids
to
for
pass
you.
a number of things, including COVID.
I mean, that's
In
how.
Lee County,
It's funny how
Kentucky-
they say this. Like it makes it easier to pass everything because they have colds, they have coughs. Kids are like sick all the time. Their immune systems are building, right? They're not like immune to anything yet. So that's just how it is. And they're all scared. They're like, oh, no, that's going to pass illness. Like, yeah, it sucks. Don't get me wrong. But that's the nature of being a kid. You know, they're kids. They don't wash their hands a lot and stuff like that. So that's just how it is.
School attendance dipped.
It's just funny. Like, it's like news to them when they're in the school district, the school industry, whatever you want to call it. They are in this, I assume, for a little bit before COVID. And then COVID comes and they're like, oh, no, we didn't know if they didn't wear masks, they can transmit anything through a cough. Oh, this is scary. It's like, you didn't know this before?
increased by roughly 20% within the first 2 weeks, prompting the district to close for several days. In Atlanta, Morris Brown College announced a 2-week mask mandate because of an uptick in positive cases.
These poor kids.
And some hospitals in New York, Massachusetts, and California are also bringing back mask requirements. CDC Director Mandy Cohen has this warning for the months ahead.
COVID is here, and we need to make sure that we stay vigilant.
It's been here the whole time.
The CDC's
This
data
is
show
BS,
hospitalizations
dude.
have been on the rise since July, jumping more than 20% earlier this month.
Yeah, but
Still,
look, if
when
you
zoom
zoom out,
to consider
yeah.
what it was like during the height of the pandemic,
It's
health
BS.
officials aren't sounding the alarm.
They're
yet.
not going to get
They're
close
closely
to up
watching
there.
a highly mutated emerging variant and hoping the next booster will help slow its spread. Those shots are expected out by the end of next month.
Nonsense.
And now, with the flu and RSV also likely to ramp up this fall,
That's how it
doctors
always is.
recommend having COVID tests at home to help tell the difference.
What a difference does it
Experts
make?
believe COVID tests can detect all current strains, but before you go pulling out an old kit stored away in your pantry, you're going to want to double check the expiration date. Doctors caution expired tests may not be as effective.
Peace of mind to help protect yourself and others. Emily Ikeda, NBC News, New York.
This stuff to me is so funny. If you're sick, no matter what it is, if you have the flu, the cold, COVID, shouldn't you always try to be taking precautions, washing your hands? When I start to feel sick, I go ham. I do Zicam. I eat coconut oil. Coconut oil is a great natural antiviral. So go to do that. You get some good nasal spray that'll kill everything in your nose. That's what you should be doing all the time. But instead, it's just like, just stay home and do nothing, which, I mean, yeah, stay away from people, fair enough. But they think a mask, okay, just get a mask. That's their whole thing. Not wash your hands. I mean, they had the wash your hands thing during COVID. But did they give you the other recommendations? Of course not. Of course they didn't. Yeah, it's just so funny. They can spread all this stuff, you know, not just COVID, obviously. Yeah, so it's just like, I don't know what I could say on YouTube. So I'm going to leave it there. Let's move on to the next story. Paper straws confirmed to be worse than plastic ones. Who would have guessed it? Here's a clip.
A few years ago, as you may recall, the world faced an apocalyptic threat. It was a moment of existential crisis for all of civilization. We found ourselves on the verge of planetary destruction, and it was all because of plastic straws. To this day, the images of Strawmageddon are still stamped indelibly on our minds. We saw pictures of sea turtles with plastic straws shoved up their noses, a situation that we decided to blame on the straw and not on the sea turtle for being clumsy, frankly. There were beluga whales with straws jammed into their eyes, great whites with straws coming out of their gills. An entire family of bottlenose dolphins were killed by one single straw. It was a catastrophe. The media insisted all of a sudden that we had to ban plastic straws. We had to get rid of them. They told us about the giant garbage patch in the Pacific, which was evidently comprised almost entirely of plastic straws from Starbucks and McDonald's. They gave us a lot of other shocking information, but none so shocking as this. Apparently, countless media reports insisted Americans use and discard 500 million plastic straws a day. That's about 182 billion straws in a year, which means that every single American goes through well over 500 straws annually. Every American uses...
I don't even remember the last time I used a straw. So this is obviously just nonsense. I might use a few a year, if maybe.
Throws away at least one straw every single day without fail, we were told. And that means that if we were to take all the straws we use in a day, collectively, and lay them out one by one on the ground, they would wrap around the world twice. If we were to take all the straws we use collectively in a year and stack them end to end, we would reach the moon 90 times. By the way, I haven't done these calculations myself. I found them on a random WordPress blog, and I'm just assuming that they're correct, which, as it happens, is exactly what the media did with all of this anti-straw information. Specifically, the media was repeating data first gathered and reported by a 9-year-old boy. The child had come up with the 500 million straws a day figure by randomly calling a few straw manufacturers on the phone and taking whatever information they gave him and running some mathematical calculations that nobody ever checked and extrapolating that Americans somehow use 500 million plastic straws in a single 24-hour period. This kid was an authority figure on the subject of plastic straws for whatever reason, and we were supposed to listen to him and make adjustments according to what he said. CNN even brought him on for an interview several years ago. And here's what that looked like.
Let's talk about this. What inspired you to get folks to be straw-free?
Well, sometimes I think we forget that every straw we use, every piece of plastic, will be here on Earth, somewhere on Earth, even when my grandchildren are born, long after that.
Okay, now, needless to say, I have nothing against this kid. As a parent, in fact, I can appreciate that he's focusing his energies on this. There are certainly less productive ways that a child that age could spend his time. But the question is whether any adult, any major corporation, any government should actually take marching orders from a third grader. And it wasn't just this one third grader. There was another 9-year-old child standing at the forefront of the anti-plastic straw struggle. Here's 9-year-old Molly Steer in 2017, founder of the Straw No More campaign, giving a TED Talk to a group of adults.
Hi, my name's Molly Steer, and I'm 9 years old, and I've just found out that straws really do suck. Earlier this year, my mum and I went to see a movie called A Plastic Ocean. The movie said that all over the world, oceans are filling up with our plastic rubbish.
She watched a movie.
This plastic gets into our oceans and it hurts the marine animals. On my way home...
She watched a movie and that qualifies her for to do a TED Talk? Ted is really went downhill. Like, no offense to this little girl, but okay, I saw a movie and this is what happened in the movie. Okay, you get a TED Talk. Yeah, I haven't watched it in a long time, and this is why.
From watching the movie that night, I started thinking about what I could do to help. I started thinking about plastic straws.
Now, look on the bright side here. Even if you feel that you've hit rock bottom in your life, even if it seems like things couldn't possibly get worse, at least you've never attended a 9-year-old's TED Talk. Now, I don't blame Molly for not understanding this point. She's a child after all, but
she's excited to be on TED.
The plastic in the ocean is not really our rubbish, quote unquote. Actually, 95% of the plastic in the ocean comes from third world countries in Africa and Asia. Outside those countries, Brazil accounts for the most. So Western countries account for a comparatively minuscule amount of the plastic pollution. In fact, there are many countries with a fraction of the U.S. population that nevertheless produce exponentially more pollution in the ocean. And of the 5% of the problem that all of Europe, North America, and South America and Australia contribute to, an even tinier fraction is from plastic straws. So tiny that you could ban all plastic straws in all Western countries and it would have basically no effect on the pollution problem at all. Not while places like Sri Lanka are still dumping all of their garbage directly into their rivers, which then go out into the ocean. Now, children don't understand these sorts of things or have this kind of perspective, which is understandable. And it's why when a child says, we should get rid of all the plastic straws and save the earth, the appropriate response is to pat them on the head and say, sure, little guy, that sounds great, and then proceed to ignore whatever they said. But that's not how our leaders responded. Instead, over the course of a few months, at the behest of a group of confused elementary school children, states and cities around the nation banned plastic straws. Many restaurant chains joined the party and pledged to get rid of all their plastic straws and move instead to paper straws. This switch was made all over the country, and now today, paper straws have mostly supplanted the plastic variety. Now, paper makes for a terrible straw on the merits. They dissolve in liquid, which is the opposite of what you want your straw to do. But at least we were told it's healthier and more eco-friendly. Even if plastic straws aren't really a huge problem, what's the harm in making the switch if it'll make, the planet a better, cleaner place? Even if in a very minuscule way. Well, as it turns out, the harm that it does might be considerable. The Daily Mail reports today, quote, we may all think we're doing our bit for the planet by sipping our drinks out of a paper straw, but the eco-friendly alternatives contain long-lasting and potentially toxic chemicals, a new study has concluded. In the first analysis of its kind in Europe, Belgian researchers tested 39 brands of straws for the group of synthetic chemicals known as poly and perfluoroalkyl. Whatever. PFAS is what it is. PFAS were found in the majority of the straws tested and were most common in those made from paper and bamboo. The synthetic chemicals are used to make everyday products from outdoor clothing to non-stick pans resistant to water, heat, and stains. They are, however, potentially harmful to people, wildlife, and the environment. The substances break down very slowly over time and can persist over thousands of years in the environment, a property that has led to them being known as forever chemicals. They've been linked to a number of health problems, including lower response to vaccines, lower birth weight, thyroid disease, increased cholesterol levels, liver damage, kidney cancer, and testicular cancer. Well, there you go. You might die of kidney cancer, but at least no sea turtles will have straws jammed up their noses. Instead, they'll just get cancer too. It gets even better reading, quote, analysis revealed the majority of the brands, 69%, contained PFAS, with different PFAS detected in total. Paper straws were most likely to contain the synthetic chemicals. The most commonly found PFAS
they're trying to make sure
has
they
been
don't
banned
degrade.
globally since 2020. Also detected were another thing I can't pronounce, TFA we'll call it, and TFMS, ultra short chain PFAS, which are highly water soluble and so might leach out of straws into drinks. The PFAS concentrations were low, and since most people tend to only use straws occasionally, pose a limited risk to human health. However, PFAS can remain in the body for many years, and concentrations can build up over time. So, that's the good news. Sure, the paper straws have lethal chemicals in them that are actually dissolving into your iced coffee as you drink it. But as long as you only use the straws occasionally, then the risk will be limited until it builds up in your body over time and kills you. Of course, if we really go through 180 billion straws a year, then we're in trouble. You know, because what we were told to begin with is that we don't use straws occasionally, we use them every day. So that's what we're left with. The only way that the paper straws won't do severe damage to our health is if the logic for using paper straws in the first place turns out to be false. But then if that's the case,
so what's the point?
There's no reason to use them at all. Now, look at the silver lining, though. As Molly said in her TED Talk, the plastic straws that you use, they can harm you. If marine animals eat those straws and then you eat the marine animals, then indirectly you're ingesting the plastic. Well, now we've cut out the middleman so that we can just be harmed directly by the straw instead. So you can ingest the straw by throwing it in the ocean, waiting for a fish to eat it, then eating the fish. That's one way. Or you can just ingest the straw by having it dissolve into your beverage and drink it, which is what we're doing now.
Oh, my God.
A brilliant strategy. What this means is that the people who banned plastic straws never checked the data to confirm that plastic straws were actually a problem and never did any studies to make sure that the alternative straws would be better for people and the environment.
They don't care.
That's because the plastic straw panic never had anything to do with data or facts, and it was driven nor was it driven by any sincere desire to protect our oceans. It was all just another giant virtue signaling exercise, another petty power grab by the collection of meddling little tyrants who look for every conceivable way, no matter how small, to control our behavior. And when I say meddling little tyrants, to be clear, I'm not talking about the 9-year-old kids. I'm talking about the people who use those 9-year-old kids as a pretense to control yet another seemingly small aspect of your life. And that's really why you're using paper straws. Something to remember when you're diagnosed with thyroid disease because of it. And that is why paper straws are today canceled.
They're very, very, very interesting. It's funny they use kids for this stuff, and you know why. Because it's weird, because why would you listen to kids? But if a grown man's saying this stuff, they're just going to be like, bleh. But a kid, they'll actually pay some attention. But it's weird that Disney and everybody switched to paper straws, and they're so harmful for you. I am very, very, very happy and lucky that I've never used a paper straw in my life. I'd just throw that trash in the trash. I don't even usually use straws, maybe if I get a smoothie or something, but usually if I get a drink, I don't want a straw. They'll put the straw in it. I take it out, take the lid off, I take it out. I don't know why. I just don't want to use a straw. I just like to drink the drink. You know what I mean? So I've never used a paper straw because if I did, I'd just throw it away. I'd be like, what? This is useless. I've seen people use those at Disney on vlogs and stuff. Yeah, and they seem like they're complete trash. Yeah, so they biodegrade into your drink. This is going to be this huge problem in 30 years of all these people having kidney cancer and stuff. And people are like, what happened? Why is the rise? And they're just going to ignore it. And they're like, oh, who knows? We don't know. It's just maybe that's kind of how it's always been. Like they did with something else recently, wink, so, yeah, this is stupid. Don't use paper straws. They're terrible. Share this video to spread this information, because I thought this was very interesting. I never liked paper straws. I thought they were always a dumb idea, but now that we know this, They can't find anything like, I don't know, hemp or something. I don't know. So it's like it can biodegrade over time, like some type of wooden straw, but it's not going to harm you. Very interesting. There probably is. They just don't care. Paper straws, like Matt Walsh was just saying, they just want to control you, and that's what it is. They're like, yeah, if we get them to use the paper ones, who cares? If they're not good for they're basically useless for their use, and they're terrible for you. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. Do you know what matters? We're controlling you, and you're doing what we want. Damn, the left is just so sick. But if people would just quit listening to them, then they would never gain any power. And I mean, I was about to say maybe they would stop, but they're never going to stop because this is what they like to do. But they won't have any power if you don't let them. All right, well, I'm going to leave it there. I definitely appreciate you joining me for another episode of the David Carson Show. I'm pretty confident tomorrow I'll actually be on 2 p.m. Eastern. Probably not on the dot. I'm probably going to have some technical difficulty. Only 7 episodes in, hopefully by like 20 or 30 here in a week or two. I think I'll actually be pretty, or yeah, a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks. I think I'll actually be pretty good and, dialed in. I'm still working on getting the new mic. I'm going to get the SM7B, going to get a new mixer. So the volumes, my apologies for the volumes. They're all up and down. It's really hard for me to tell because I have my headphones plugged right into my interface, and the monitoring goes through it, and it's just the volume. I can't hear. I can't hear the effects going through my streaming software. I can't hear it. So I'm just trying to adjust on the fly, doing my best. But soon I'm going to get a really good mixer, and that should feed into it. I should be able to adjust on the fly, and the volumes should be way better. New mic, new mixer, going to be coming sometime probably in the next 30 days. Get that all dialed in, get all this stuff in. So the stream, my apologies to you if you were watching live. I lost like half my viewers when that happened, so very unfortunate. I probably need to get a new solution. I use this service called Restream, so I could just send out to one thing that redistributes it, but then that disconnected and it killed my event, so I had to go make a new event. And then, it's just a mess. It's just a mess, and I don't know if I can have a backup stream. It's like, so annoying. But I would really like that not to happen again. If I could get like a backup server, I'm going to contact them and see what I can do about that. But most people on the podcast you're watching later probably didn't even notice the podcast. I'll just edit it together and won't even notice it. But yeah, that happened. Very unfortunate. But again, I'm going to try my best to make sure that doesn't happen again in the future. But yeah, with that said, I'll see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Definitely appreciate you watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.